I've made millions over the last 8 years selling my knowledge and my expertise online. And today I'm going to show you how you can crush 99% of your competition with zero skills and zero talent. Have you ever noticed that some entrepreneurs seem to crush it in business in spite of the fact that they come from low education and low skill environments? I, for one, can 100% resonate with this sentiment personally because I grew up in a low income household. I left for the military at the age of 19, and I've gone on to make millions of pounds selling my expertise online. What I'm going to teach you today in this video is a combination of my own personal anecdotes and experience, plus the lessons that I've taken from studying some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the online space. And if you can stick around and make it all the way to the end of this video, I'm going to show you the actionable steps that you can take right now to get ahead of your competition with zero extra skills or talent. So do me a favor, amigo, remove all distractions for the next 10 minutes or so. Turn your phone on landscape if you're watching on your phone, and let's lock in and help you grow your coaching business. So how do you crush 99% of your competition with no extra skills and no talent? That is what we're going to get stuck into in today's video. Well, it all boils down to this one sentiment that I want you to implement and live by for the rest of your life. And if you do this, as I have done, you will succeed. There is no two ways about it. And the sentiment is this: get world class at the things that require zero talent. Let me use my business model as an example. Now, I help other online business owners, coaches, consultants, mentors, etc., to build their online education or coaching businesses through better marketing, better sales, better client delivery, better results for their clients, so on and so forth. Now, for me to be able to do that successfully, I've had to build the skills and the tools and the knowledge over the last 10 years of doing this for myself to be good at sales, to be good at marketing, to get better results with clients. So those things cannot be shortcutted, they cannot be bypassed. They are a skill that have been learned over time. I have studied and practiced in each of those areas for a decade, and that is how I have acquired the skills and the talent in those areas. But how could I get ahead without that prerequisite knowledge and experience and time under my belt? What are the things that I could do that would put me ahead of my competition in my space and in my area without the aforementioned time under my belt? And this is where I'll refer you back to the sentiment that I want you to remember. You get world class at the things that require zero talent. So what are those things? Before we dig into each of the traits that I want you to adopt from this day moving forwards, I want you to remember that 80% of business is just meeting your clients' and customers' expectations and then surpassing them. If you can do that, you will succeed. Now, there comes a point, of course, where you need to have the skills. You need to know what you're doing in whatever it is that you're selling. That's not up for dispute. But 80% of the success that you will experience will come by the way of just meeting your clients' and customers' expectations and then surpassing them. Let's take an example of you being in competition with another online coach in your niche who is down the road from you, okay? And your potential customers and your customers are ultimately making a decision between working with them and working with you. Now, that coach could be phenomenal at what they do. They could even be better at what they do than you are. They might have more knowledge. They might have more experience in the area that you work with your clients. But if that coach is terrible at getting back to people, slow on responding to people, they don't sweat the detail, and the service delivery isn't amazing, they're going to build a reputation that puts them underneath you, in particular if you are the opposite of those traits. If you're somebody who's very responsive, if you're quick to get back to people, if you sweat the detail. So for the next couple of minutes, I want to show you all of the things that you can put in place right now to put yourself ahead of your competition without extra knowledge or experience or skills or talents. So the first one I've just touched on, it's be responsive. Now, being responsive, this applies to both, of course, your prospective clients, so people reaching out and inquiring with you or engaging with your marketing on social media, etc. And then, of course, more importantly, your customers, your clients. Be responsive, make a conscious effort to get back to people in the fastest time that you possibly can, in as much detail as you possibly can. Now, you do this with a willingness, first and foremost. You have to be willing to get back to people quickly, but you also do this through systems and process. Okay, if I've got time in my diary blocked out every single day to respond to messages, to get back to people, if I've got a Trello board with all of my client hot lists of people that I need to engage with, then these are systems and processes that are going to help me to be more responsive. So I strongly urge you, if you're somebody who's quite forgetful, or if you're somebody who gets wrapped up in the day-to-day operations of your business, then put systems and processes in place to ensure that you become responsive. Don't leave it to chance. The second trait that you can implement right now is remembering things. This sounds so simple and ridiculous, but if you speak with a client and they tell you that they've got a big important event coming up at work, take note of it, remember it, and make sure that in your next conversation, you ask how the event went, or even better, you proactively before the event, touch base and say, best of luck at your thing today, right? Those little things go so far in your clients and your potential client's mind. It will really just put you miles and miles ahead of your competitors, irrespective of how experienced you are in your service delivery. Again, I use systems for this, right? So if a client says something to me that I need to remember, I take a note of it in their client card on Trello, okay? I'm not leaving these things to chance. If it's a particular date that I need to remember, I'll put it in my calendar. I'll put it as a reminder on Trello. I'll make sure I don't forget. When you have systems and processes, you don't have to be somebody with great memory to remember things, okay? That's what systems are for. And that is what we teach in Remote Pro, is you being able to deliver the best possible service, irrespective of what your typical default character traits are. The third thing is sweating the detail. Now, I have to be completely honest with you here, because I used to bang on the mantra of don't let perfect be the enemy to done. That was something that I lived by for many, many years in business. But something I've come to learn over the last few years is that actually that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I would go as far to say that when you sweat the detail and you get your product as good as it can possibly be, that ends up doing most, if not all, of the heavy lifting with your marketing and sales for you. Conversely, if you rush the product and you don't sweat the detail, you're going to spend a lot of time and energy convincing people in your marketing, convincing people in your sales that this is the right option for them, versus people shouting about your product and service from the rooftops and all of the heavy lifting being done for you. So it seems paradoxical to spend more time on the front end making sure that it's absolutely sick and as good as it can be. That is actually going to buy you time on the back end where you're not having to convince people in your marketing. The fourth thing is integrity. Always, and I mean always, be willing to hold your hands up and say, do you know what? This is either out of my area of expertise or out of my role and responsibilities as a business owner or a coach in whatever situation. You will gain far more respect and credibility from your peers, your clients, your prospective clients, if you have a willingness to put your ego to one side and not try to bluff people into thinking that you know it all. There's something you can't do, you don't understand, you don't have the skills in, then tell people. You will gain the respect, and a nice way of bringing the ball back in your park is by saying, I don't know that yet, but I'm going to go in and endeavor to find out for you. If you show a willingness to learn something new for somebody because you don't have the answers yet, that will just really put people's expectations of you unbelievably high. And the fifth and final thing that you can do right now to get ahead of your competition is always constantly be developing. Now, this takes zero skill and talent, but 100% effort and discipline. You need to be constantly on the lookout for how you can improve your service, how you can get better results for your clients, how you can make 1% marginal improvements to your marketing. If you've ever seen the film Pumping Iron, you'll remember a scene where a collection of the would-be Mr. Olympia bodybuilders are talking about Arnold being on the top of the hill and having all of the food, right? Being at the top of the chain. But the wolves below him were hungry, they were tenacious, they wanted to knock him off his top spot as Mr. Olympia. Now, you need to be, if you are not at the top of the hill right now, the tenacious, hungry wolf who wants to beat their competition. And because they're at the top of the hill, there's a good chance that they have become complacent. They're resting on their laurels. They feel like they have all of the answers. If you've always got your eye out for how you can improve, how you can get ahead, how you can beat your competition, you will beat them. And that is it, guys. That is 5 things that you can do right now that require no skill, no talent, but will crush your competition. And if you've enjoyed this video, then just drop a comment below, share it with a mate if you have any, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you're interested in slightly more tactical lessons where I actually show you the ins and outs of growing your coaching business through better marketing, sales, and delivery, make sure you subscribe to my other channel where I upload every single week more detailed lessons going through on the iPad. See you on the next one, amigo. Peace.